justified. Now, think about that. Boy, did that challenge me. Did I want to argue with that? Argue with it, okay, but think about it. The key is whatever a person chooses to do in that moment is right, proper, and justified. He may change his mind 10 minutes later, but in that moment, so in a sense, we really are doing the best that we can under the circumstances, aren't we? But when we can understand that, we can forgive ourselves because we do have the choice to be able to change our mind about things and stop beating on ourselves for our mistakes or for our inability to live up to the potential that we know we have within us and that we continually fall short of that. My younger son, which is now 52, 53 years old, I remember when he was a teenager one time, he had done something, and he was always one of these very self-critical kids. I don't know where that came from. And he still is, to some degree. But really, you know, it was hard for him to acknowledge his gifts, and he's so clever and so smart, and except for that self-critical, he takes after me in all of those other ways. But he did something, and he did it very well, and I was just so pleased, and I complimented him about it, and he looked at it and he says, "But Dad, I didn't give it my best." I didn't quite know what to say. I probably gave him some words like some kind of pablum, you know, well, that's okay, next time try your best or try harder or something. But the fact of the matter is now, I would look at him and I would just say, "Stop that! Take the compliment. You did well. Acknowledge yourself." I wouldn't say stupid, but I sure feel like saying stupid. Do you see what I mean? How many times do we do that? How many times do we fall short of really acknowledging what it is that we are doing? Let's stop beating on ourselves. Let's stop bemoaning the fact that we made a mistake. Mistakes are wonderful if you use them. Mistakes provide us the opportunity to be able to wake up, to expand our awareness, to be able to release a lot of the emotional resistance and the suppressed stuff that we hold on to so much, like guilt and self-blame, those kinds of things. You own it. Take responsibility for it and move on. We're never going to be fully free until we accept full responsibility for our life and our actions and bring into play some self-forgiveness. And this means responsibility for every word, every thought, every deed, every decision, every action that we've taken. You know, we're going to pay the price for those things or reap the benefits for every one of them. And we learn and we grow according to the nature and the consequences of our actions in life. In wrapping this up, I just want to say this kind of simply. Nothing that we do is right or wrong, good or bad. There's only that which adds value and takes value. Now, I know some of you can say there is evil, I've seen evil, I know it, and I agree with you. But get the idea in a general sense. Nothing I do is right or wrong or good or bad. But there can be that which is useful and that which is not useful. There is that which is going to add value. There is that which is going to actually take value away from a system or context, something we're dealing with. And this is very useful terminology. It turns your mind around and opens you to be able to look at what's going on in your life without judgment. How can I encourage more of being able to express and live my life in this way? Well, there's some very simple things you can do. You can ask yourself some questions, and I want to leave you with just a few questions here. Actually, they're all pretty much the same question, or maybe two questions, but I'll go through them all. First of all, when you get ready to undertake some endeavor, and this is the key, to stop. When you want to do something, just don't spontaneously jump out there and start doing it before thinking about it. At least think about, What is it that I need to think about? That sounds silly, but I think you know what I mean. So very often we react to situations to do. Let's stop and say, okay, is there something to think about this? Is this a useful thing to do? Is this going to add value? And a corollary to that really is, will it contribute to my well-being and the well-being of others? Will it support others in their process of life? Those are two questions, but it's really the same question. Another one is that, does it fit into the context of the flowingness of life, the natural laws as I understand the natural laws? You say, oh, wait a minute, I'm not a scientist, I don't know that much about that. You know what I'm talking about. There are certain natural laws. If I go over and step on your toe accidentally, I'll stand back and I'll look and I'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. And you'll say, oh, well, that's okay. But you're pretty clumsy to step on my toe. That's one thing. The natural law involves several different kinds of responses, doesn't it? If I step on your toe or you step on my toe and I look at you and say, you stupid, clumsy ox. See, that's another thing altogether. We look at what you're doing, think about a little bit what you're doing, and in this process, try to understand whether or not what you're doing is consistent with natural laws. You know, if you bring love into a situation, you're going to experience love out of that situation a lot more easily than if you bring antagonism and bitterness into whatever the interaction happens to be. You're almost always going to get a reaction of the same kind.